Welcome to our third season of Latinos Who Thrive. I am your host, Victor Escalante. Happy New Year. It's a new game plan for you to thrive. Today we have special guest Jose Monterrosa. Jose is founder and president of Imagina Communications, an advertising and PR firm that specializes in Hispanic marketing. Jose is a distinguished professional who has engineered highly successful advertising and PR campaigns for companies, colleges, universities, health and community agencies. So let's get started. Welcome to our show, Jose.
Thank you. Thank you for the invitation.
Jose, tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are you originally from and how did you get to where you are?
Yes. So long story, right? But I'm going to try to make it short. I was born in El Salvador. At this point, is half of my life was spent in that country. Then I moved to California in my teens. Then I went back to El Salvador. And then mid 1990s, I was awarded a scholarship by the Fulbright program, and that's how I ended up going to Michigan State. That's where I got my graduate degree, and went back to El Salvador, spent a few years there working, and then finally made it to Houston in 2001. From that point, everything has been, I think, a little bit hard in the beginning because, I was basically new in the city. I didn't know anybody. Soon enough, I started making contacts and opening my way, getting to know people. And that's how I ended up landing a job in Houston. Then I landed another job in San Antonio. And at a certain point, I decided to go on my own. And at this point, I had been pretty much 19 years running my own business, marketing and communications. The name of the company is Imagina Communications.
Jose, one of the things that we look at in this program is some of the struggles that first generation or second generation immigrants face in America, and especially in corporate America, some of the challenges and what they did to overcome these. What was the biggest cultural shock for you coming from El Salvador?
Like I mentioned, not knowing the city and not understanding the business environment, the work environment, that was, I will say, it is a barrier for any immigrant. But it depends. It's all on you, right? On how you overcome those barriers.
What did you do to overcome those barriers?
Well, I was very flexible. I was not, let me put it this way, I didn't stay inside a cluster, other immigrants. I basically went out and meet people, uh, people from different races, from different backgrounds. And I think in a way that helped me integrate myself a little bit faster and a little bit smoother into the city. And the fact that, I was eager to have this new experience in Houston and in Texas and the desire to succeed and move forward. So I think that the drive was there. The know-how was not necessarily there. A little bit of time for me to get integrated, but I think I made it through.
One of the things that is common with a lot of guests on the program is they say that you got to be connected. You got to be
Right.
able to network with key people and key organizations wherever you land.
Right.
In your case, who did you get connected with in Houston and how did you do it? And what do you consider to be important about that?
So this is one of the things that I will say that Latinos lack a lot, especially low-income Latinos, unfortunately. Not understanding, and I'm not necessarily talking about an immigrant. I'm talking about someone that was born and raised here in Houston. Not necessarily knowing or understanding how to climb those ladders inside corporate America, right? Obviously, this someone that has been brought in a different environment will know that better, but that is not necessarily the case for a lot of, I would say, low-income Latinos. That is something that we as a community need to acknowledge and need to be very, I guess, proactive on making sure that those that are going to schools, those that are graduating, those that are getting those new jobs, know how to navigate the system. So I'm speaking on behalf of the community. In my particular case, when I came to Houston, I guess a lot of things came naturally, but I didn't necessarily have the know-how. It was not until I met this guy that at some point he became my mentor. And this is the point in which I basically opened my business and got certified as a minority-owned company. He was the one that told me or explained to me, the differences between New York and Texas. I mean, he used that example, very simple example of how things operate in Texas. So he was very straightforward with me, and he said, you got to be present. Go get your business cards, start networking, attending our events, introduce yourself. And he actually, took me by attending one of the events that was being organized by the organization that he led. And he kind of showed me how to do it, right? And it's a simple thing for a lot of people, but that was not necessarily something that I knew or had the framework on how to do it. It may sound naive at this point, but in reality, it happens. Understanding how to do that and continuing to have that drive uh, to continue to open those doors is what I felt helped me a lot in the beginning. Eventually, over time, you kind of know how to navigate the system, which is the thing that I was mentioning at the beginning. And then, you start building your hubs, right, throughout the city and through different organizations. Like in my particular case, I have been, and I continue to be, as a matter of fact, part of four key organizations that I feel are essential
Why
to be
don't you
in.
go ahead and tell
Uh,
us what those are?
well, the Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce is by far, one of them. Definitely an
Which is
organization that,
one organization that you have done a lot in
yes,
order to get them PR
yes, they
and
actually became my client.
yeah,
Yeah,
and you have done a lot of advertising for them and a lot of news stories for them to basically help them to put them on the map. I know
put
that
the
you are humble and you wouldn't necessarily take much credit for that, but it's like you're the secret sauce, really,
secret sauce. Yeah,
behind the
yeah,
growth of the
yeah. Well, but
Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. Go ahead and own it.
fair enough, right? But I do have to give credit to Dr. Laura Murillo.
No question about it. She is
Yeah,
the strategist. She's the
absolutely.
strategist and visionary, but you
Strategist.
and other people are the guys that actually execute that.
Exactly.
And it
Yes.
takes knowledge and skill, and it also takes the networks that you have among media companies and other PR professionals in order to pull off some of the campaigns that you've done.
Correct. Yes, I agree. I mean, it takes a lot of solid leadership to run an organization like that, and it takes a very sharp team to execute, just like you said, right? So they have been extremely successful throughout the years.
But I want to
And
circle back to networking.
uh-huh,
From what you're describing, this is plain old school influence marketing by
right.
getting connected to highly influential people
Hmm.
that can vouch for your integrity, for your honesty, for your skill sets that you bring to the table, so that you don't have to struggle and spend the years trying to prove yourself in the marketplace.
Yes, and like I mentioned before, is building those hubs, right? You identify
I know what you
the
mean by hubs, but
uh-huh.
tell the listeners what you mean by hub.
Like in the case of the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. I mean, those are the composition of the organization is mostly Latino business owners. So by being present there and by connecting with the people that run the organization and with the people that are influential within the organization is extremely important. And remaining visible as well, right? Being at the events, continue to network, continue to share your business card, something as simple as that, and continue to have conversations inside the event itself or outside of it. That is a how, in my case, that is a how that I keep. and I care about. You have other, anyone can have any other hubs, like the American Leadership Forum. That's another extremely important organization. Uh, I went through the leadership program that they have. It took about a year, but after completing that program, I basically got even more engaged with the organization to the point that I'm chairing the marketing committee at the American Leadership Forum. Once you consolidate that hub, those hubs have like different branches. In fact, through the American Leadership Forum, I became connected with the Holocaust Museum. So branching out from those hubs that you build as you create your network, I, like in my case, is essential. I need to have it. I need to be there. I need to be present, and I need to show up as a leader.
There's something
Whenever
that
I
is obvious to me, but it may not be so obvious to you or the listeners. It's like you provide value to the organization and to the individuals that you connect with.
Yes, yes. I mean, you have to, right? I mean, they have to see value in you. So you got to remain proactive, and you have to volunteer, engage, and lead uh, within those organizations to the point that you, just like you said, you are providing value to the organization itself, and they see that value in you. They respect you. They allow you in, and then once you're in, it's a matter of continuing to build that network. Obviously, you anyone within this field has limited time, right? So you have to be strategic about what you get involved with and decide whether by gaining ground within this organization you're actually going to provide value and you're going to have the time to actually provide that value to them. So you don't want to just be jumping from one place to the other and networking all over the place without having a strategic vision of what you're trying to do.
Correct. So, Jose, tell us about the other hubs that you are connected with.
I was involved with the American Marketing Association, the Houston chapter. I was a member of that organization for many years. I was actually on the board of the AMA for 3 consecutive times. Once I had a role. You have to have a role to be on the board, right? I mean, you have to either lead a committee, just be part of it, and just like you said, providing value. So within the AMA, I basically led all those initiatives that were related to the Latino market in that time. And then over the years, me and 2 other people within the AMA basically created a new concept within the organization called AMA Academy, which ended up being like once a month events that were supposed to provide some type of training to those individuals that were either entering the market or had been in the market for a little bit of time, but needed like a boost on a specific areas or a specific skill. So that was the concept behind the creation of AMA Academy. From the marketing point of view, AMA became almost like a platform for me to be introducing to the marketing and communications environment or industry in Houston because it is a leading organization by far. So being part of that, again, it became a hub that had different branches, and that led me to meet other people and make those connections, right? The thing is that you can almost exhaust a hub to the point that, okay, I have been here for so many years. I don't think this hub is going anywhere else. I need to move on to a new one and open that door on that new one, and continue to maintain the one that you built. Like in my case, through the AMA. This to me is a matter of knowing where you are going to be connected and how you're going to be strategic about the value that you provide to those organizations.
I met you in 2008, right after the crash. Media, right after the crash of a lot of industries.
Mhm.
And I've seen your trajectory over the years, and you have become a boutique Hispanic marketing agency in Houston with a very big footprint. Talk about what it took to get there over and above about having hubs of influence and being
Mhm.
connected to and providing value to influencers.
Yes, so it took a lot of patience. I think that is one of the keywords here, because, like I said, I mean, not knowing necessarily how the system work and how to navigate the system, I had to do a lot of trial and in the beginning. I think that over time I learned that.
I'm curious about the hacks. If you were advising the younger Jose, just
Mm-hmm.
starting out in the marketplace, having
Mm-hmm.
his own small company, a small
Mm-hmm.
startup in PR, communications, and media, what would
Mm-hmm.
you tell that younger Jose?
So I have actually meet a lot of people or over time, and that basically ask me the same question, right? They are about to graduate and from school, and what do they need to do? I mean, the simple thing is basically what I just said. I mean, you want to make sure that you know which professional organization you're going to be involved with, and make sure that you start as a volunteer in one of the committees and doing basic stuff. Maybe spend 6 to 8 months volunteering, and then at that point you decide whether you want to lead that committee that you were participating as a volunteer, and if so, you have to share that with leadership within the organization. uh, so you have to show up, you have to be present, right? And they have to see you as someone that is providing value. I mean, you move on, you ask the question, hey, I want to be part of your board. What does it take to do that? They start paying attention to you, they give you all the guidelines. The point here is that you have to reach that point within the organization that you get involved with to have that leadership role, like in my case, the AMA. You cannot be a volunteer forever, just showing up and doing the basic volunteer work. No, you have to scale up within the organization and remain there for maybe 2 or 3 years. And at that point, make that decision to either move to another professional organization or take another leadership role within the one that you are participating in. So that needs to happen. And the thing for someone that is entering the workforce and is joining a company, in a way, you know what happens, what typically happens when you get a job and start working with this company is that you spend so much time doing the work that you have to do because it is your responsibility that you forget about networking within other professional organizations. And not until you feel like that you need to jump to another job or find a new opportunity, you start doing your network by joining professional organizations. And that usually is a mistake, I think. Once you enter a new job, like if I was talking to the young Jose, right? And the young Jose is maybe on his fourth year, the University of Houston. At that point, you have to be involved already in a professional organization, even before you get that new job. Why? Because it's just going to add to your resume. It's providing value to the resume that you're trying to show to those new employers. And guess what? By participating on those professional organizations, you're going to meet people that are probably going to become the one that is going to give you that job that you're looking for, or is going to be able to connect you with someone else that needs someone with the skills that that young Jose has. So, I mean, that would be my advice to the young Jose.
Okay, very good.
Mhm.
You're listening to Latinos Who Thrive with special guest Jose Monterrosa. We'll be right back.
Do you want to thrive in 2023? Are you ready to make positive changes in your life? It's important to take control of your life and make intentional choices that lead you towards success and happiness. A coach or mentor can be a valuable resource in helping you to set goals, develop a plan, and stay motivated as you work towards creating the life you desire. If you're interested in seeking out a coach or mentor, it's important to do your research and find someone who aligns with your values and has experience and expertise in the areas you're looking to improve. For more than 3 decades, Victor Escalante has been coaching and training entrepreneurs to live the life they always wanted. Contact Victor today at victorescalante.com or call him at 713-992-8279. Your destiny is calling to you to start your journey towards a designer life. Take action today.
We now return you to Latinos Who Thrive with special guest Jose Monterrosa.
Now, you have been involved in a lot of very high-profile ad campaigns or PR events. Talk to us about what it takes these days in order to continue to have success on the scale that you have been able to achieve. Or is it still viable? Has the marketplace changed so much that now you have to be thinking differently about strategy?
The thing about marketing and communications is that it changes a lot very fast. Every year there's a new tool, right, that you need to know how to use, or at least have the basic understanding on how to use it. And you have to be smart about when and how to use those tools, because at the end of the day, those are going to help you be more professional and deliver on the expectations that the clients have. So getting to understand the value and knowing the tools that are going to provide that value that you're looking for is a challenge within this industry, because it changes a lot and it changes very fast. Just think about it. Just knowing how to place ads on Facebook, it can be a job by itself, because changes a lot. They they give or introduce a lot of updates to the system, to the point that whatever you learned 2 years ago may not necessarily apply this time. So that is one thing. It is a challenge. It is a challenge that people need to learn how to navigate. The other thing that I feel, like in my particular case, has provided me the means to, I guess, succeed. I don't want to use that word to describe myself, but let's just use it for explanation purposes, is narrowing down on a niche, making sure that the service that you are providing has value for a lot of customers, a lot of clients, and that is not uh, populated with multiple competitors to the point that you are basically on a rat race all the time. In my particular case, I focus first on the Latino market, so I'm very segment focused, not necessarily industry focused. And within that market, in my role has been almost understanding communities at the micro level and knowing how to engage those communities. That by itself requires some skills that not a lot of people have, or not a lot of members in, or a lot of professionals in my industry have. So it's a unique skill. I feel very comfortable doing it. I'm very good at it, to be quite frank. So I feel very comfortable. Even, the most challenging goals by clients are doable, because you get to a point in which you know what to do. You know which buttons you need to press because you have done it so many times.
And I might say that you have become really the expert on the East End and what it takes in order to do PR campaigns and advertising strategies for the East End, where the heavy concentration of Latinos are.
Yeah, so the East End has become almost like my sandbox, right? And I tell a lot of people the East End is almost like the San Antonio of Houston,
It is
because of, yeah,
absolutely, yes, I
yeah,
agree. Having lived
yeah,
in San Antonio.
Yeah, because of the mix, I think that of Latinos there, and the history of the entire community, right? I got to the East End maybe like 13 or 14 years ago. I got a contract with a local client, a very influential client within the area, and over the years, I we have done, I think, a very good job at what we were assigned to do. The job itself became almost like a school to me because it was about changing perceptions, changing the perception that the rest of the Houston community had about the East End. And I was lucky enough to work with a client that was very smart, very clever, very experienced, and a client that allowed me to do the things that I felt needed to be done to be successful. I don't have any problems saying her name, Diane Shanky. She used to be the president of the Eastern District, what is today the Eastern District. She, at a point, she became almost like a mentor. And just having conversations with her, you understood the way she thought about the community, the vision that she had over the next 15 or 20 years, and the way she decided this is the way that we are going to move the pieces that we have to change this community. That by itself to me was an school. And I learned a lot from her. And that allowed me to understand the Eastern community a little bit more. It was very interesting and I enjoyed that opportunity and continue to enjoy because I continue to do work for them.
I want to drill down on a very important point.
Okay.
You've been very successful with the East End Management District
Hmm.
because of your relationship with the former director. Why is it important to have a good fit and to succeed by understanding the relationship that both parties bring to the table? And let me tell you where I'm going with this question. A
Uh-huh.
lot of people don't get it that sometimes you can be a bad fit. And
Hmm.
if you're a bad fit, you are doomed from the outstart because
Right.
there's not a good synergism
Exactly.
because both parties do not understand the proper role that is
Hmm.
required of each in order to
Yes.
be able to succeed. So I want you to talk about that.
In the particular case of Diane, and when I started working with the Eastern District, she was very respectful from the beginning. I think her leadership style allow others to actually have the freedom to think and make decisions on the things that needed to be done. I came in as someone that at that point didn't know anything about the East End, but I knew a thing about Latinos. The process of initiating that relationship with a client, knowing that you're providing value, knowing that that client is giving you the space to provide input and make decisions for them, that is to me is instrumental because many times you will engage clients that maybe don't trust you, or gaining their trust is going to require a lot of work, and that is where the fit many times don't doesn't exist. So you have to decide whether you're going to invest on building that fit, or simply you're going to say, you know what, maybe I'm not the person for this. Maybe someone else can do a better job, and just humbly decide to walk out. Again, that requires leadership and respecting those boundaries that are set, and also meeting the expectations. I guess once you set the boundaries and you allow others to grow, to be themselves and have the freedom to execute with the skills that you bring to the table, you're set. Once your first task, your second one, your third one, and they see that you're being successful at what you are accomplishing, then that relationship is simply solid. It's just a matter of continue to grow because the trust has been built, has been solidified, and each one is executing the way they are supposed to.
You are a visionary of the future, and you're a strategist and a scientist at studying trends. where do you see the East End going in 10 years? And where do you see Houston going in 10 years?
Well, the East End is already set. There is only one way for the East End, and that is up. I think that at this point, when I joined or when I started working in the East End, it was still a question mark, right? But over the years, with the things that have been done in the community, I think that at this point it's just navigating by itself. And obviously, you have to maintain the work that you have been able to build over the years, but it's just growing. And I think that became pretty obvious maybe 4 or 5 years ago. The right buttons had been set for that community. And at that point, once you are known within Houston, within Texas, and other regions of the U.S., it's just a matter of letting it run. Obviously, managing it, right? But I think the East End at this point is going to become something very different from what it was 10 years ago. There's a huge investment going on in the area. There is a lot of changes, not only on real estate landscape, but also the fact that many parks are going to be built in the area. The East End now has the largest maker hub in Texas. So a lot of investment entrepreneurs, small businesses that are trying to grow within the technology area, a lot of training going on for those that live within the community. So a lot of things are happening, a lot of the strategic things are happening for that community to grow and flourish. In terms of Houston, I think Houston is such a massive city. You don't necessarily see, I guess, a specific path other than continue to grow on the healthcare, medical, technology is a big thing that is growing in the city. Obviously, oil and gas will continue to remain there, right? But I guess that combination of the technology and energy, and what are those new energy related technologies that are being created, I think that's going to be the future, or continue to be the future of Houston. So the pillars of the city, I think, are very solid. They will continue to be there. And we all know what those are. It's just a matter of evolving into something, I guess, more technology driven. As many of us know, there's a lot of investment going on in the city in terms of technology. AI apply to healthcare, to hospitals, to oil and gas, to various industries within the city. That is just going to allow the city to build on those pillars that basically sustain the economy of the city, and why not Texas itself too?
Right. Latinos are the largest minority
Mhm.
in Houston,
Right.
potentially soon to be in Harris County. Give us the
Mhm.
upside, give us the downside from your perspective.
The upside is, I think, is just gaining numbers, right? By gaining numbers, I mean population size. I think is critical because, once we have the numbers, I think that can basically become the platform to gain, I guess, power comes opportunities. I personally would like to see more Latinos on leadership roles, whatever that industry they are in. I think that is critical. And I think that as a community, we have to remind ourselves that, once you are there at that level, in that level being a director, a vice president, a manager, I think the responsibility is making sure that other Latinos have that opportunity, the opportunity that you had. So we have to make sure that we care about each other and continue to grow as a community, right? The downside, I think, is the fact that we have to make sure that we prepare those young Latinos for the jobs of the future. And by that, I mean anything related to technology. I think that there's a lot of, like I mentioned before, a lot of investment in terms of technology in Houston. There's something like manufacturing 3.0 and 4.0. I mean, the numbers continue to grow. I guess we have to invest more on making sure that those young Latinos are educated and trained for those jobs of the future. If not, someone else is going to do it. And if we're thinking about having those leadership roles in key industries in the city, not being trained, not having that education is not going to allow us to gain those leadership roles. one thing is getting educated, right? And another thing is being successful in the level of education that you're gaining. That is going to require a change of mindset, I think, and making sure that we are not competing among ourselves. We are competing among other communities that are way ahead of us. We need to catch up a lot. That needs to happen. That is something that I carry a lot and care a lot. Make sure that you finish your degree and you finish it on time and that you finish it the right way, because finishing it the right way is the thing that is going to allow you to be that CEO, that Latino CEO. And forget about the director and the VP, okay? I want you to see yourself as the CEO of this large company, this global company that operates in Houston.
Amen. You are singing to the choir or preaching to
Yeah.
the choir. Jose, you're a father.
Yes.
How are you preparing your son, and how are you creating his lane for the future, knowing what you know?
I guess I have to go back when he was born. And the fact that I guess this happens to anyone. We want to become parents. I want to be a dad. I want to have a son. I want to have a daughter. But not until that boy is there or that girl is there, you realize that, okay, this is a life project, right? What do I need to do? So I look, quite frankly, I had that shock moment in which I realized this is probably going to be my biggest project, making sure that this guy is set on the right track.
Yes.
So I started talking to people, talking to other parents, reading books, and just knowing what I needed to do. Lucky me, I found a couple of books that basically set the path that I needed to set for myself and for my kid, making sure that in those early years, I set the foundation, setting up the foundation for him. The thing is that I can tell you that at this point, I feel like that worked. Maybe I'm not 100% sure if it worked because of the things that me and my wife did as parents, or simply because he hasn't been able to get it, to understand it, and to assume the responsibility of being the top, being the best within his possibilities.
Absolutely.
So
Build the self-esteem and give them the necessary preparation, and the rest will take care of itself.
the rest will take care of itself. And, it was actually during COVID in which, I had a conversation with the guy and we talked and trying to pick his brain, right? And he was what? He was about, I think he was like 12, if I get it right. And just having that conversation about where do you see yourself, Domingo? My son's name is Domingo.
Yes.
And just hearing him talk and he sharing with me his vision, I felt like, okay, if I die tomorrow, he's going to be okay.
Yes.
You know?
Good for you. Congratulations.
And at this point, he's basically a freshman in high school. And I feel even more confident that he is on the right track. I will obviously continue to manage and be the helicopter parent that I am.
Sure.
And I say that with pride. But I, like any parent, I want to make sure that he's set on the right track.
Sure. In my case, my son was interested in becoming a graphic designer. So when he was around 11, I took him to a TV studio.
Okay.
I got the people there to give him a tour and to show him the future of animation in TV and how a graphic design career would open up all kinds of interesting opportunities for him. And he's just starting college now, pursuing that degree.
Awesome. Congratulations. I think that that's the role that we have to play, right? Providing those opportunities to inspire them. Right?
Absolutely. You must immerse them and help them to dream their dream even
Yes.
better and even bigger than what they
Yes.
imagine.
So one of the things that I tell him, my son, is that basically what I just said to you, that at some point you have to get to that leadership position that you envision to be. And you have to make sure that you set the trend for other Latinos that are going to be entering the workforce once you are, once you have reached that level that you envision to have. So that needs to continue. It doesn't, and it will not end with me. It will not end with him, and it shouldn't end with the ones that he will probably embrace and bring within the company, wherever, whatever that company is, right?
I want your take on one final point. Dr. Kleinberg, former
Mhm,
Rice University sociologist,
mhm,
says that as goes Houston, Texas goes, so goes the nation.
mhm.
What's your take on that comment?
Well, he's saying that for a reason, right? And he's obviously an expert on data, and he analyzes data from all over the country. And I mean, I take his word. Dr. Kleinberg is someone that I respect a lot. I admire the guy. I felt kind of sad when he basically retired because he's such a strong and solid value for the city. But the thing is that I am a follower. I believe what he says, and I think that the trend that Houston is setting for the rest of the country, eventually it will reach those places where maybe Latinos are not necessarily a majority right now. I believe that at some point the U.S. of maybe 2040, it's gonna look a lot different from the U.S. from the 1960s or 40s, right?
Yes,
Uh,
the
it's
projection is that by 2040, Latinos will be the largest demographic in America, even if you shut the borders down. If you were to
Yeah.
shut down the borders by 2040, and probably those estimates need to be revised because I'm going back 10 years when I read that estimate,
Mhm,
that Latinos will be
mhm.
the largest majority in America. Some reports call it the browning of America.
And the thing that goes with that is I guess, the interaction of different races, forgetting about clusters, right? Some states being like very protective of their communities. I guess the trend is, I guess, more mix of races in the US, which is something, to my knowledge, didn't necessarily happen before.
Right.
I mean, who knows? We may end up with a totally different person that we know today. Who knows?
We
That may
live in
happen.
interesting times for sure.
We're living in interesting times, and I mean, I guess other regions of the globe are experiencing the same thing. I mean, Europe is changing as far as I know. So migration and I guess, the mix of races and ethnic groups is something that is going to change this country a lot in the future.
Absolutely. Jose, I want to thank you for being a guest on our show today. You have brought some very interesting points to the table. Any final
Sure.
words?
I mean, just thank to you for the invitation and allowing me to share my thoughts, right, about what my experience has been as a business owner, what my vision is for the Latino community that I care a lot, and just maybe or hopefully triggering a conversation that we need to continue to have among ourselves and among other members of the community, just to make sure that we, Latinos, Hispanics, whatever you want to call us, succeed. I think that we owe that to ourselves. The secret is not necessarily on the numbers. The secret is on the knowledge, I think, or a combination of numbers and knowledge. So we need to continue to build that knowledge. We need to make sure that we compete fairly and cleanly with other communities that are already successful in Houston, Texas, and the US.
Absolutely. We will
Yeah.
have your contact information in the show notes. If someone wants to reach out to you, be sure and tell Jose that you heard him on Latinos Who Thrive. Friends,
Thank you
that's
very
all we
much.
got for you today. And Jose, a good connecting with you after so many years, and we'll be in touch. And I look forward to seeing your future trajectory.
Thank you very much.